Good morning. Yeah, can can I have questions that to clarify things? Any doubts? Anything that you want to clarify? You can use the chat if you want to. So about the slides, do you have any questions about the slide? Anyone? Or should I ask questions? Ni lecture
So,
bukan tutorial. Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
sir. I need a clarification on the doctrines. So basically, according to the slides, it says doctrines, or specifically legal doctrine, is a framework, set of rules, procedures, steps, or test. How exactly do we find the doctrine?
Oh, okay. How do you find the doctrine? We can go for example, when it comes to executive, then you go to Pejabat Perdana Menteri to look at the dasar-dasar. So all the dasar-dasar here, you can go through the dasar-dasar lah. So there's quite a number of dasar-dasar, right? So those are dasar luar negara, dasar pendidikan, dasar ekonomi. Those are doctrines in terms of the being utilized by the government, by the executive, in order for them to run the country. So with this dasar-dasar, with this policy, with this method of to run the country, that is where the law is being reinforced or being utilized by those institutions. So all the institution, as I already mentioned in the separation of power, right? So the executive, legislative, and judiciary, they are all legal institutions empowered by the constitution in order for administration of the country. So when it comes to executive, they are given power by the legislative, obviously by virtue of the Akta, right? So that empowers them, yeah, to do the job. But they are doing their job not only based on the law, but also with the situation of policy that they adopt, adopt and adapt. Boleh, Marine?
Yes, okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. The rest, macam mana? I don't want you to come in and not being able to benefit from your, the time that you spend, the money that you spend in order for us to engage in a discussion. By right, we are supposed to be engaging in a discussion. It's not a lecture in a way I want it to be. Because the knowledge, I think by reading and looking at the video itself, you should be able to understand what is the situation. Yeah. Can I have anyone asking question to clarify things? Morning. I have a question. Okay, jap, eh. Since look at the problem of the society is the formulation of law meant to be reactive in nature instead of proactive. In what way is that? It is both actually. Yeah. So to react to the current situation and to be proactive in not repeating the same mistake that we have done now. So this group of people, they are saying that in order for you to have good laws to change the society, you should be able to look at what is being done right now. So reaction, yeah, reactive in sense that you are to react to the current situation that is happening by virtue of the law that has been implemented. Once you know that, once you are able to react to the situation, the current situation, then you are to be in a proactive nature. Proactive meaning you are to strategize, you are to scrutinize, you know, the details of the law, the new law that you will want to come out in order for in the future, having more productivity, more ability to solve society problem. Say, for example, as I already mentioned in the video, right? If you are the officer, you came out from law, to graduate from the law faculty, and then you are now working with the government. You are the what uh, what we can say. You're working with JPA, right? Or your PTD, yeah, pegawai takbir daerah. So you are assigned as the ADO in one daerah, and when you were there, you need to do your duty. Your duty is being empowered. The law is already empowering you to do certain decision, certain bylaws, yeah, certain rules or certain you have your subordinates. Yeah, for example, you have like 10 or your section that is under you, so you are empowered to do what they call it, to manage them. So in order to manage them, you can have your own style of doing things, but not going beyond the power that is given to you. Otherwise that is I mean going beyond your powers, right? So what you need to do is to do something. In order for you to do something, you have so many options for you to choose. You can choose jurisprudence one, methodology. Either you want to use positivist, naturalist, historically, and things like that, uh, or Islamic, But or you can adopt and adapt this so-called sociological jurisprudence, meaning when you go into that department, you look at the current law that is being, or the current rules, or the current regulation, or the current procedures, that is being implemented in that particular department. And you want to change your department to be better. Obviously, every one of us wants to have a better outcome of our so-called when we are in power, right? We want something that is towards the betterment of the, for the society, our control. So if you are with that particular department, then how do you create new laws? Do you come in as an authoritative person? You become a dictator. I don't care. You are my subordinate. You have to follow my orders. I can punish you if you don't follow, or what kind of approach that you want to implement. So sociological jurisprudence is asking you to look at the current law that you have in that particular situation. So once you investigate, once you realize the things that is going on with the outcome of the current law, then you formulate the law with the anticipation that it will have a better outcome. And obviously, you have to do it by virtue of data collection, meaning it must be empirically done. So you just cannot agak-agak, creation of new laws is not about agak-agak. It has to be something that is, more or less probability of it materializing it in a way that you want is high. Kan dia orang kata if you don't plan, then you plan to fail. Yeah, something along that line. So it is all about planning. Fazri, boleh? Okay, good. So anywhere that you are going to be later on in life, you are going to be given power. Now, power is in your hands. Now, how you deliver your power, how do you manage your power? It is based on the sociological jurisprudence is jurist is saying that you have to really understand the situation. You know, just don't. Sometimes we cannot apply natural law. It does not make sense. Yeah, certain situation we cannot apply natural law because if you were to apply natural law, then uh, say for example equality of all, you know, it doesn't make sense. In 1957, for example, we did not apply equality to all, okay, because we realized the situation that we were in. There are groups of people that are lacking, you know, that is left behind. So we need to have some strategy in order for us to make sure that there will be some, you know, balance. You know, if you go deeper, next week we'll be going deeper on Roscoe Pound about how he proposed to do that. Yeah, so we have to do. I introduced to us lah. You have to do the balancing of interest. Okay, if you read up Roscoe Pound, then you discover that he is proposing that we need to do this kind of study in order for us to study the current law. And once you understand about the current situation, what you need to do is to do the balancing of interest between individuals, public, and the society. Okay, so once you do the balancing of this interest of different parties, then you know what you need to do and you move forward by creating the new laws. If in that department situation, you look at the situation, you understand the situation. Once you understand the situation, then you have to do balancing of all the parties that is involved with your new law that you are going to create. So upon creation of that particular law, you have already taken into consideration of all parties that is affected by the new rule or by the new law or by the new guidelines or whatever. Yeah, depending on where you are going to end up. Okay, you are going to end up somewhere that you will have power, okay, or control. Yeah? The law is in your hands. If you are an officer of a private company, you are going to be empowered to do something in order for you to deliver your task that was assigned to you by your company. So you're going to do something, and that something that you are going to do is based on a jurisprudential perspective. It is sort of an art. Nah. You choose. Now, upon realizing that you have so many variances of jurisprudential method that you can apply, then you practice now. You can practice it now with your friends, with your family, you know. If your parents give you some authority to do something, then you can apply, you know, whatever jurisprudential method that you have learned. And one of that is to do a deeper understanding of your power, meaning you have to realize the current situation, and then you have to study, and then you have to make sure that the interests of all parties are going to be taken into consideration before you create a new law or a new rule or a new guideline or whatever. Boleh faham, guys? Dia macam ni, dia realistic lah. Juris tu is about realism, right? So being realistic, you have to look at the facts. The current fact is like this. So upon realizing the current fact, it is not a belief. A belief you can just believe. You believe in something, it is not really true unless and until you have the facts to back it up. So once you have the facts, then only you move to do the next step, which is the second step, to do the balancing of interests of all parties. Okay, if you're talking about LGBT, then look at the facts. How many of the population is involved in LGBT activities? What would be the current law? What is the impact of the current law towards LGBT people? Are they going to go underground? Going underground, is it more negative? you know or is it something that it is a balancing of interest that you have to undertake, because you cannot simply give one section of the community the rights, but without looking into other people's feedback, other people's interests. You cannot bulldoze certain things. Now, having said that, if you want to know my stand on LGBT, by all means, you want to do it, do it. I'm a very liberal person, right? Yeah, somebody raise a hand. Aisha?
So I have a question on the application of policy and if it is relevant to what we are studying sociological jurisprudence, since you said that since you talked about laws and bylaws, where
Yeah.
does policy stand in our syllabus and is it relevant? And
Macam mana? Macam mana sekali lagi?
um, maksud saya
I,
macam what since new laws are sometimes derived from policies,
mm-hmm.
where do where does policy stand in our syllabus and is it relevant to discuss in our syllabus since
The
sometimes
current policy,
hmm, I mean
the policy that we have.
governmental
Oh,
policy.
yes. It has everything. It has everything to do with our syllabus, because you are going to be leaders. Now, having this position of leaders, you have to take into consideration. You cannot simply, you know, do something yourself. If you are in politics, if you are in government, you cannot do something that is different from the group of government bodies that is doing something. If they have that policy that, say for example, policy of giving projects to Bumi Putra, right? Uh, Giving allotment of Bumi Putra units in terms of housing. It is not stated in the what they call it in Article 153. It is not stated anywhere about to give certain quotas for Bumiputras. If you go against that, then obviously you have some kind of reaction by the majority. So you have to be careful. So what that got to do with our syllabus, as I already mentioned, yes, it has everything got to do with. So policy, you have seen in cases in the judiciary, the judge mentioned about policy issues. Okay, so policy issues, even though the judges are not administrators in nature, yeah, but they are not executive, but they are in a supportive mode towards the what they call it, the executive, because they know the outcome. If you open the floodgate, then the effect of the floodgate. For example, Stephen Poor, remember the case? Stephen Poor, thought.
I'm gonna have to check back on that, sir.
No,
On the
it's okay.
fact.
I'm asking everyone. Stephen Poor, Highland Towers, remember the decision, federal court? So the court has to look into that particular situation, where if they were to allow government officers to be liable for their negligence, then what will happen to the institutions, the executive institutions, Majlis Pembandaran Ampang Jaya? What will happen if they were to back up all this group of people who wishes to be compensated? We are talking about the two building that is not that is still standing.
The
Then
organization
MPAJ,
will stay, but then the government servant would be replaced.
Yeah, the government servant will be replaced. You can always transfer the staff to somewhere else, but we are talking about the liability of the agency, the institution that have to compensate. If the judiciary comes strong and on the side of the society, and what will happen is that the institution would suffer. you know you are talking about millions of money that needs to be paid for the negligence of their staff. Can you ask that, say for example, the compensation is 3 million. If the 3 million is to be reimbursed by the officer, obviously you cannot have that. The officer is not able to compensate back to the agency, in order to give back that amount of damages that was awarded. So the court have to be cautious whenever they make that decision. Their decision is based on the reality of things, reality of the society, reality of the government. If you were to open the floodgate, you cannot simply open now and then close later and then open back. Justice is for all. And if you are the federal court, you make that decision, and it has a lasting impact. So you have to be careful. Though it is not mentioned in particular, we are not studying politics, we are not studying policies, we are studying how you are going to create new laws. If you are going to create new laws, obviously you are going to have to look at the situation, the reality of the situation. You look at the makeup of the society, you look at the tension that is that is surrounding the issue of your questions, and then you look at the nature of the laws that has been implemented. Can you change that? What would be happening if you change it? For example, you want to remove ISA, you want to terminate ISA. It is not simply just turn off and then delete ISA. You have to do studies first. What would be the legal impact? You terminate one law, it will have the roots, yeah, linked to other laws also. So how do you, dia macam cabut pokok, tak boleh just main cabut je. It has to be proper. You make sure all the roots are taken out at the same time. It has to be careful. Yes. Questions? Aisha, I don't know whether I answered you or not, but yes, it is not in the syllabus. Yes, indirectly, it is having everything about the policies. Yes, you have to make sure yourself you are able to understand the policies that we have in the government, in the institution.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Tak, suara you macam you tak puas hati je. Boleh tanya lagi?
Tak adalah.
Tak. Ada tu nak tanya tu.
I was just macam thinking should we discuss also policy when talking about legal institutions, about macam as you mentioned, judges in court also make judgment according to the public policy, the current situation, etc. So in our answer, would it be relevant for me to use the current policies if there are any?
Okay, good. You mentioned about the policies of the government, but you don't have to go deep into the policy, you know, trying to get one of the policy as an example, then trying to, no, the exam question is going to be asking you to give your opinion of a certain issue that is being raised in the question. So normally you will start saying that Roscoe Pound, as a sociological jurisprudence, he promotes that in order for us to create new laws, you are to take into consideration of the current fact, the current law, the current situation of the society or people that is affected by your new decision that you're going to make. And this is by virtue of looking at the institution, looking at the doctrines, looking at the what do you call it? The third one over there? Lupa dah saya. You look at the doctrine, you look also at the practices, you know, the practices that is being done or being, you know, being applied. So all this, you have to be realistic lah, in a way that in order for you to understand things, you have to look at the current situation. You look at the legal institution, how they run, you know, what would be the impact of this institution towards others. If you were to make any decision of your institution, whether your decision is going to impact other institutions, it has to be concerted, as I already mentioned. It has to be something of a nature that everyone moves together. That is why we need to have some discussion within, you know, of a problem with all the institution that is going to be involved. Soalan? Thank you, Asha.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm not stopping you by saying that you can, you know, discuss lagi. Yeah, the rest? Okay. Sociological jurisprudence is when we have to understand the real problem in the society, yes, through research and empirical data, correct. Therefore, would the historical aspect of the development of society itself can be regarded as an aspect of social? Yes, yes. You look at the nature of, say for example, you want to change the Malay, right? Mahathir declared himself that he failed to change the Malay. Why? His intention was he needs the Malay to, you know, to be, you know, to lead the country, but it does not work as what he wanted, with his policy, with his idea, you know, punch card, you know, dasar pandang ke timur, you know, looking at the how the behavior of working behavior of Japanese, you know, the attitude he wants to implement to the executive. We have 1.7 million of government servant, and most of them, I think 1.5 or 1.6 million is Malay. They are all Malay. So the attitude of the government servant, you know very well that they are slow in doing their job, you know, and they like to delay things, you know, to justify that they are to be in existence. The mindset has to change, but the study has to be done further in order to really understand why we are like this, you know, why do we like, you know, lepak banyak, hiburan banyak, you know, whenever there is a, you know, event of, you know, joyful event or, you know, event yang gempak-gempak, semua Melayu, you know. How do you change that? How do you move that? How do you know, change that lah? Malays are creative people, you know, they like to do things. So why can't the law promote this sort of inclination, yeah, the behavioral inclination of the Malay to be so creative. You know, kalau tengok Melayu ni memang dia banyak more on creation. Kalau you tengok Chinese, they are not that creative. Okay, so we have to balance out lah. So we have to pull everyone together up, you know, forward. However, we don't pull them down. You don't pull the Chinese or the Indian if they were to move, but we are going to recognize their strength, your SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, the SWOT analysis has to be conducted. Okay, so once you do that, then you start to realize, oh, okay, upon realizing these are the pro and cons, the strength and weaknesses, opportunities, and so these are the one that you have to realize. Without doing some studies, you are not going to realize that. You are going to make the mistake again and again and again. Somebody else new, after you have done your service for 20 years, they will come in and they will start to repeat the whole process again and again and again. It will never change. So you guys are going to be someone important in our society. So power is going to be given to you. You have to do your job. In order for you to do your job better, sociological jurisprudence is promoting for you to investigate. Itu je. Yeah, investigate, formulate. Okay. When you investigate, you have knowledge, and then you create new laws. So you cannot run away from historical. The historical part of our society plays a major role in order for us to understand how to create new laws. You kena realize lah. Kalau orang Kelantan macam mana? Kenapa orang Kelantan dia semangat orang Kelantan, orang Pantai Timur is more. How to make them able to blend in with the as Malaysians, because whenever you have a group of people talking, and then you have a Kelantanese coming to that conversation, the Kelantanese or the Terengganu people, they tend to be close to those coming from the same state. How do you, this is those are the things that we have to take into consideration. If you have your staff coming from different states, how do you promote unity? Especially if you have different countries, Malay races, and then you have Chinese and Indian. How do you create unity? By understanding, right? Once you understand, then you should be able to know the weaknesses and strengths and the current situation. Then you propose something based on the balancing that you need to do. Okay, sorry. Means that to fulfill social needs and tak ke macam never ending. Yes, it will be never ending. Looking back at COVID-19 issues, I noticed that government keep on trying to satisfy social desires but ended creating chaos. Betul, the society pun intend to want something. Yeah, this is the failure of the government to really sit down and properly look at the facts. You don't, I don't know, they just simply do something based on, they melatah, cepat melatah. People pressure them in dissent. Oh, okay. The law bends from left and right, up and down at any time. So there is no concrete plan. If, say, for example, COVID, the number rise, and then the other day yang pergi Sabah for election and things like that, we were single digit at that point of time. And then when they came back, habis the whole thing. Now, what they supposed to do, I don't know whether they have to do something of that nature, close everything up for 1 week, and then at least open up back, to make sure that everything reduce. But instead they do certain other things. Yes, I would it will be a never-ending issue. However, if you do it in a very strategic manner, in a very calculative or informative nature, then hopefully that the outcome would be better rather than you melatah, you know. So as officers of the government or in private companies or on with your own firm, you have to be aware that you cannot melatah. You know, you cannot simply say that this is my law, this is my authority, so I am empowered to do this. You listen, you know, like positivist punya, you know. So you cannot be an Islamic person, Islamic in jurisprudence pun, people when they don't understand, they just simply say that, you know, this is by virtue of agama, but which agama you're talking about? Which source that you're talking about? Is it really in the Al-Quran? Is it really in the hadith that is can be relied? Kalau hadith goes against the Quran, then you have to reject the hadith, no matter how you like to follow the hadith. Good, Fatin. I don't know whether I answered you or not, Fatin.
Yes.
One example macam kita kan, Islamic Islam. We are known as conquerors, you know, conquerors of the land in the Middle East. Uh, yeah, I have to agree with that because we are conquerors. We went to other people's country and invade their land. uh, it does not apply to us, to the Southeast Asia, because they came and they promote Islam, and then we were not forced to convert. Over in this Middle East, yes, even though it is not uh, what they call it force, but in a way you have gone against what Rasulullah has not practiced. Rasulullah never invade other people's land. He is on the what they call it defensive. Yeah. So on the retaliation mode. So if you kill my emissaries, then I'm going to attack you. You start it first. He never started the war first. He never attacked other countries first. Why should we do that? No wonder that we have the Christians are not happy with us until today. Okay, so we have to study. We have to know the if you want to implement the Islamic jurisprudence, then you have to go along the line of what Al-Quran, because that irrespective of what Al-Quran did Al-Quran promote attacking people or not, attacking other people's land or not? Al-Quran never promote that. So, and if you look at the practice of Rasulullah, never have done that. Why you have to do it? The same thing if you are in power later on, you have administration or department or section or kementerian. So you have to, if you want to implement the Islamic principle, you have to really apply Islamic principle. Otherwise, you either choose naturalist, historicalist, anthropological, or you choose Mills, no harm principle. You can use Jeremy Bentham. There's many that you can opt to. But juris too is more towards realistic. Look at the reality of the current situation. Even though you might say that, kalau macam tu susah lah. Kita nak kena buat study and then kita buat and then kita buat law and then the law does not turn out to what we want it to be. So the law has to keep on changing. Changing in a sense that it is acceptable by the society standard lah. It has to be dynamic, yeah, but not to the extent that macam hari ni esok dua minggu and then you make changes, It depends on the situation. Soalan? Kalau tak ada, I don't want to you to stay on, without you benefiting anything if you don't ask question. Guys, macam mana? Ada lagi soalan?
Setakat ni
So,
tak ada sir, jelas.
jelas So basically kalau orang tanya sociological jurisprudence ni apa? You kena buat investigation. Investigation to what? The reality of the situation today. Meaning what reality? The legal punya, what do you call it, impact that is currently going on. Then once you understand, then you have knowledge. Once you have knowledge, you will do the balancing of all the interest parties involved in that particular task of yours. Then you create the law. Hopefully, by creating that law, it will have a good what do you call it, outcome. Okay, guys. InsyaAllah kalau tak ada apa-apa, then we end the session. Thank you so much for coming. Take care. And do you want the recording to be passed to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Alright. So thank you, guys. Assalamualaikum. Take care.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Sorry. I wanted to ask a question just now, but everyone was already going.
Oh,
Can I ask you
okay.
one last question? I'm so
Mm,
sorry.
It's okay. No, don't say sorry. I'm here to ask to answer questions. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm just a little bit confused, but I'll give you a situation, an example. So, for
Mm,
example, in France, the French Senate passed a vote to propose a bill in regards of the hijab ban
mm,
for
mm,
those who are under 18, right? So when
mm,
we're assessing this in terms of sociological jurisprudence, and we
mm,
bring in Roscoe Pound,
mm.
um, kita akan bawa like elements of the actual social fact of the law, of that law of ban hijab tu.
We look at the current situation.
Okay.
You are talking before they implement the hijab rule or what?
They're currently like proposing the bill, so like on the way of creating this new law lah.
Oh, okay. In the process of proposing, they should have checked and studied the impact of creating the so-called hijab rules. What would be the reaction from the Muslim population?
Obviously retaliation,
You allow
anger.
people to bear their body, on the
Yeah.
street. You allow freedom. If freedom is about the ability for you to do whatever you want, and for the Muslim ladies to wear their hijab as they wish, nobody is forcing them. Why should you hinder that? And the impact of such regulation or such what they call law, what would be the impact? Would the retaliation of the Muslim would be greater? Just simply to say that, hey, you guys come to our country, you have to abide to our rules, our law, but that particular law is implemented differently for different group of people.
Mm-mm.
The retaliation of the people that might happen, they might blow up, institution and things like that, is getting higher and higher. The risk is going, if you go for every action, there must be an opposite and equal reaction. So just simply saying that no hijab for those people under certain age, then who are you? Do you think that they are not going to respond, react?
Awesome.
They have to take into consideration of all the possibilities. Have they just, I think they just do it because they want to punish the Muslim, and they want to impose their right of freedom of choice. But do they ask the Muslim whether, say for example, if you are under your guardianship, would anyone outside the guardianship come and say that you are not supposed to do that kind of thing? If that is the nature of your religion? No, I'm not pro religion, mind you, but to me, forcing people to wear hijab is, individual choice. But forcing people not to wear, that is different. That is my opinion.
Okay.
What do you think?
So
What do you think?
I agree technically because I feel that if you force people to take off their hijab, it's the same sort of enforcement that the Saudi Arabias are doing to women in terms of forcing them to wear hijab. So
Very
France is
good.
technically doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
when assessing sociological jurisprudence ni kan, so I can when answering and using such examples,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I can macam unravel it in terms of the flaws and stuff. So macam unraveling it like one by one. So for example, the doctrines that they use is very much flawed because the creation of
Mm-hmm.
that law was just in terms of terrorism, and it was just such a fascist attitude of the President Macron to use.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't fulfill what Roscoe Pound punya ideology is.
Yeah. Maybe because Macron was, uh, influenced or pressured by a certain group of people,
Mm-mm.
and he reacted in that manner. When they were, terrorist activities going on there.
Yeah.
You have to wonder why in other state or other countries in Europe we don't have those terrorist attacks.
Mm-mm.
You have to wonder what they have done good in order for them to have a good outcome when they have Muslim society over there also.
Yeah.
In German, in Belgium, in Sweden, they whenever you take action in a negative way without thoroughly looking at the situation, without doing proper study, the chances of failure is quite high.
Hi. Mm-hmm.
So this is the promotion of sociological jurisprudence. Before you create new laws, look at the current situation, the law that you implement right now. Is
Mm-mm.
it something that is worthwhile? Yeah, I want security to the country, to my population. Yes, you can have security, but is it the good way for you to do this by
Mm.
attacking people?
Betul.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. But for in Malaysia, you want to punish people, you punish people who not wearing mask just because they not adhering to the rule of wearing mask when officers, government, politician are not doing the same thing. Do you think that
Ah.
people are going to respect? No. The reality of the situation is not being, adhered to by everyone. And people, you create hatred by the society towards the politician, and it has a general impact.
Mm-mm.
They don't attack only one politician for not abiding that rule. They are attacking the whole government.
Yeah.
The whole government is going to be impacted. At you as the prime minister, you have to understand that you are in a position that the society is you're legitimate, you are legitimate because the society is backing you up. You
Mm-mm.
can say, I don't care, emergency sekarang kan. But eventually we are looking at the what do you call it, recognition of the society towards your ruling. If they see you as unjust, doing things that is not fair, then obviously they are not going to support you,
Mm-mm.
kan? So the same
Betul.
thing you apply kat mana-mana pun. You tengok dekat China, you tengok dekat Cambodia, anywhere in the world, the same process. We are talking about government lah. If you are talking about a person who is in the capacity of officer level, or you maybe opening up your own firm, so the same thing applies. You have to look at the situation and do investigation.
Okay.
You rasa
Okay,
macam mana?
saya setuju, and I understand more on how to apply that sort of situation in sociological jurisprudence, sebab my head is still in jurisprudence 1 kot, sir. Jadi macam saya stuck bila masuk juris 2. Saya macam macam mana ni?
Juris 1 is more towards theory,
Yeah.
but Juris 2 is more towards
Uh-uh.
practicality, realism.
Okay.
So Juris 1 is more on metaphysical, theoretical, no facts, no data, not
Yeah.
looking at the reality of things. But Juris 2 is more real. I like Juris 2 more when we can adapt and adopt, certain things that we learn.
Mm-mm. Betul kan? Saya
Well,
setuju.
setuju eh? Okay, good.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. If you have any questions,
Oh,
tanya aja. Yes, Shirley.
sorry. I just thought of this question about
Yes, good, good.
social jurisprudence is like
I,
about fulfilling the society needs lah basically. So what if contohnya the parliament who makes the law, they
yes.
recognize the problem, they analyze it, they got the data, they went to the root of the problem, but at
Uh-huh.
the end of the day, there was no formulation of law being made. So, but
That
then
at
they
the end
know
of the day, sorry.
they didn't do anything about it. They did not formulate any law, but then they
Mm-hmm.
know it is necessary to move forward and to make betterment of the society. So it
Mm.
is like against what social jurisprudence is all about. So
Yeah,
how do they actually fix it, or is there nothing we can do about it?
because they choose not to follow. They have
Ah,
done studies, they realize about it, but they never follow through and create that law that can hopefully change the society. One example that I can share with you is that what is the current status of Bumiputra and Malay in our country? Do we still need DEB? Do we still need Article 153? So that is a very sensitive issue. The data is to be collected to look at the general population of the Malays. Are we at par with other races? Now, from that study, you will again realize that there are some quarters that is lacking. Maybe a combination of Chinese, Indian, and Malay. On rural areas, they need to be concentrated now. Kan? Now they have to be concentrated into pushing them together forward. So it is no longer about one particular race, it is about the whole Malaysian race that is you looking at B40. B40 comprises of all those Chinese, Malay, Indian, whatever, Kadazan, Iban, and so we have to look at that nature. Now, once you have that data, you have to move. But again, it is politics, whether they want to do it or they want to maintain people as what status quo in order to not meddle with you know the issue. Maybe the side effect is going to be negative. We might have riots and things like that. But sociological jurisprudence is promoting the facts. If the facts shows that you have to change, then you have to change.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we are not going to progress.
betul betul sir.
Kan?
So yeah, it's
Dari-
basically like seeing like if you have the facts, but then if the effect is gonna be towards the negative side than the positive side, then it's there's no use for us to continue with formulating a law. Is that something
yeah,
like that?
true.
Okay.
Something along that line. Say, for example, they call it what do you call it? What do you call it? In manufacturing of cars, they have these actuaries. We have faculty of applied science, actuaries, people who study probability in terms of if they were to implement certain things, what would be the probability of people or probability of failure. Say, for example, cars, if they were to produce cars that has negative impact, what would be the probability of people suing them? If the probability of suing them might open up for compensation for 300 million, okay, 300 million
Mm.
compensation that they have to go to court and settle out of court or base the court decision, 300 million. But if they were not to recall, the recall of all the cars back to the factory would comprise of an exercise that amounts to 600 million. So calling back the product to be rectified 600 million, to face litigation 300 million. Which one do you choose? Obviously, you're going to choose 300 million, which is cheaper than compared to
So yeah.
600 million. So the impact of whether you want to take action or not, it depends on the risk taking, the probability that has to be another study. What would be the advantage or disadvantage? Sometimes when it comes to people, they want us to be in the dark. You know, some people they just want us to be in the dark because they don't want us to know. Legal knowledge is supposed to be given to everyone in the country.
Yeah.
So the art of knowing what is contract, what is tort, you know, what is criminal law, what is the nature of litigation processes and things. Basic knowledge of law has to be given to everyone in our society, in the citizens of Malaysia, which is not being done. Why? Then we have to question why. Why
Mm.
can't they? You know, you are going to be the selected few open to this knowledge. Why can't they have the same knowledge? They are going through life without realizing their rights and duties that is that is imposed by law. That is just my opinion lah. Charlene, what do you think? Amy, what do you think?
Uh, Personally, I agree because macam, it's not that I'm agreeing kosong-kosong, but with the reasons that you and whatnot, macam, I actually do agree and understand where it is coming from.
Kalau
Okay, so
kita,
I'm so sorry. I have to leave now. I have
no,
class.
okay, right, right,
Okay,
right.
thank you so much, sir. Okay, bye.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum.
Amy. Charlene, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, okay. I
All
have
right.
to agree with you lah sebab
Yeah.
kalau if we see it in the Malaysian punya context, not everyone is aware about what is happening actually.
What is
So there is
happening, especially
like
when it comes to your rights, kan?
yes, yes. Um if especially from the Sarawak and Sabah area, like my hometown, I'm from Kuching, but then I
Yeah.
have a kampong. So like
Sedih kan?
as simple as during election. So I went with my dad during election time, and then they were saying that they're gonna vote for. I think during that time it was the Najib punya era.
Aha.
So they because they were given things like basic necessity like food and some cash, so they were bound to vote for whoever gave them those things. So
Yeah,
they
money
don't really
politics.
know like yeah what is the right as a voter. Yeah, it's simple as that. So
Kesian lah.
there
They
is
are blind people.
yes,
The money politics is one thing that is being used by politicians in order for them to, you know, uh, to gain some leverage. Yeah?
yes, true sir, true sir.
That is very wrong.
Betul sir.
And, and the impact that is going to happen in the long run, you might win your position right now, but the society eventually will wake up and
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
worried about the the impact of Sabah and Sarawak. Eventually, maybe I don't know if they one day they say what's the point of going into a contract when we are not getting anything. You know, we don't want that to happen. Actually, everyone wants to be happy, right? So everyone wants to move together, but it's just that some politicians are so cruel in order for them to make people be in the position that they are not able to understand where they are.
true, sir. I think there's a lot that needs to be done, but yeah,
Uh, but step has to be made. You know,
yes,
you as a representative of people of Sabah and Sarawak must be able to tell their your citizens, you know, your fellow Sabahan and Sarawakian about the rights that they have. It is a small step, but eventually it will be in a position that they demand. Yeah? They can correctly demand what is needed, what they should get.
betul, betul.
I have got many of my students Sarawakian and Sabahan, which I already asked them to do something, to do
Yeah,
something and to be able to change the society over there.
yeah,
Because
because if it's not us, who else would do the change?
yeah, true, very true. So I was hoping that I can gain some advantage in terms of benefits, for promoting justice.
Boleh, sir. Boleh, sir. It's really sad to see because my mom punya rumah panjang.
Uh-huh.
We actually got our water supply just last year. So I've been going back
Oh
to that kampong for the past 24 years, and we just got the water supply like last year.
my God, you can imagine. I can
Yeah,
understand 30 years ago you don't get that supply, but now, come on, man, it's not
exactly.
that expensive.
And I think they did. I think the people at Kampong they did ask like when are you gonna do this? But then of course like most politicians they would come up with reasons to say that why they cannot do it directly. So yeah,
Come
so
on.
it's been on hold for like 24 years. So that I think that's a it can be a great reason for not giving us the water supply. I guess so.
3 years of independent. Come on, man. If we are newly independent, maybe because of the British doesn't want to give us, they want us to be, in a situation that they easy to be controlled. But now, so sad, so sad. So when we went there the other day, we were also sad. We say the Borneo highway is supposed to be there, supposed to be connecting
Yes,
people.
yes, yes. Mm-mm.
The what, Trans Borneo, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pen Borneo, Pen Borneo.
Pan Borneo not yet completed. It's supposed to be completed years ago,
Yeah,
and
yes.
with new roads or the proper road, then comes electricity. Then you can do proper water system, sewage system. Here we are not talking about sewage. We're talking about water, drinking water. Oh my God.
So
So
all over the years, if I would go back for Gawai, then we had to buy like bulk of mineral water so that we can wash because we depended on rainwater, but obviously it's not so clean if we were
yes.
to yeah. So we actually had to fork out some money just for mineral water.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so sad. I'm so sorry. That is why
Okay.
in my class I say it's to the Sabahan and Sarawakian, on behalf of the government of Malaysia, I'm so sorry. I have to ask for forgiveness for the inequality that we have imposed towards those states. For even for Kelantanis,
Yes.
they should have their what do you call it, the highway. You just cannot have on the western side of the peninsula or the good highways that when they themselves don't have highways. The highway stop at Terengganu and then not
Mm-mm.
going into Kelantan just because Kelantan belongs to another government. Oh my God. Can you imagine the number of accident people die, the inconvenience when there is holiday, people going back to Hari Raya, so many accident, so
Mm.
many deaths. Why? Because there is no good highway.
Yeah, that's true, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's basic necessity to have a good highway in our punya
Yeah, it is
society. But
basic
yeah,
necessity.
yeah, it is basic necessity.
Sadly, it is not there. Hopefully that you are able with your fellow Sarawakian and Sabahan to change the society, to demand, yeah, to demand your rights. This is your rights, right? We are not asking more. You don't want what they call it, airplane, landing strip over there. You don't want to have complexes, shopping malls.
Yes, we
You,
don't want that.
you,
I think the latest news that I read about the Sarawak government, I personally believe that the current chief minister is using money unnecessarily. So I think
yeah.
one of the things that they spent on was coastal guard. They
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a need for a coastal guard in Sarawak,
Mm,
but then
mm,
they actually wasted like around I think 90 to 150 million ringgit.
wow.
Yeah.
If it's true, the problem is real, then it should be implemented. But if it's not, then you shouldn't. You should spend that money to make sure that the Indonesian do not come in and and steal the bala over there, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that is more. I mean, yeah, the waters, you have to take care of the waters,
Yes.
obviously the fisheries and things like that. But we are talking about the plants, yeah, the destruction of forests. Those are more important. All you have to do is just use your, what do you call it? You call it that what do you call it? The one drone, right? You can
Yeah,
implement,
drone.
that can go and investigate deep inside the jungle and things like that. Ayo, susah lah.
Yes.
It's very stressful, but I'm lucky. I'm in the position of being able to teach you guys to open up your mind in order for you to be able to make changes. It is not possible for me to do it because I don't have the influence, I don't have the power, I don't have the credibility, the strength to do it. But I was hoping my student would be able to change the world in their own perspective. You
Okay,
are
I
my
agree.
one of my hulu balang.
Boleh, sir, boleh.
Okay, so thank you so much, Shalin. If you
Okay.
have any question, just PM and we can do a discussion about.
All right, all
Uh,
right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Good day,
so much.
sir.
Okay, take care.